Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you've got your notifications on, you already know I dive into these Hollywood stories that hit you right in the gut, the ones that make you question everything you thought you knew about fame and family. Today, though, I barely know where to start because this one, man, it's heartbreaking. Imagine waking up to news that one of the guys who gave us movies like Stand By Me and The Princess Bride, Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle, they're gone. Just like that. And the whispers? They're pointing to their own son. Yeah, it's that kind of story. Stick with me here, because we're going to unpack it all, not to sensationalize, but because these lives mattered, and this feels like a punch to the soul. So, let's get into it. This all broke late Sunday, December 14th, around 3:30 in the afternoon. The Los Angeles Fire Department gets a call to a home in the hills, someone saying they need medical aid, urgent. They roll up, and what they find is devastating. A man, 78 years old, and a woman, 68, both gone. No coming back from it. And sources close to the family, people who've talked directly with relatives, they're saying those two were Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner. Police haven't put out an official statement confirming identities yet, but the pieces fit too neatly to ignore. It's the kind of quiet horror that settles in slow, you know? One minute, you're picturing Rob behind the camera, crafting those stories that made us laugh and cry, and the next, this. Now, the part that's got everyone reeling, the detail that's tearing through the wires. Sources are telling outlets like People that their son, Nick Reiner, he's the one who did this. Killed them. I say that flat out because that's what the reports are saying, but let's be clear, police are questioning him right now. Nick's 32, he's alive, and no one's been arrested yet. It's all still unfolding, investigators piecing together what happened in that house. But when family sources are speaking out like this, it hits different. It feels personal, like the kind of fracture that no amount of fame can paper over. I want to pause here and just remember Rob for a second, because that's where my head goes first. The guy's a legend, right? Born in the Bronx in 1947, son of Carl Reiner, the comedy king, and Estelle Reiner, who could steal a scene with a single line. Rob didn't just ride those coattails, he carved his own path. He burst onto screens as Michael Stivic, that meathead liberal on All in the Family, the Norman Lear show that changed TV forever. God, those episodes, they were sharp, they made you uncomfortable in the best way, forcing you to look at the world head-on. But then he flips to directing, and that's when the magic really happens. His debut in 1984, this is Spinal Tap, that mockumentary about a hapless rock band. It's still quoted in every green room in Hollywood. From there, it's a run that most filmmakers dream of. Stand By Me in '86, turning Stephen King's novella into this raw coming-of-age gut-wrencher that makes you miss your own childhood friends. The Princess Bride a year later, that fairy tale with sword fights and true love that you can watch 100 times and still tear up at the end. When Harry Met Sally in '89, with that deli scene where Meg Ryan, well, you know. Misery, A Few Good Men, the list goes on. Rob had this gift for taking the messy parts of being human, the love, the loss, the absurdities, and wrapping them in stories that stick with you. He wasn't just making movies, he was holding up a mirror. And Michelle? She was right there with him, part of that world. They met on the set of When Harry Met Sally, sparks flying amid all the rom-com chaos. Got married in '89, built a life, had 3 kids. She wasn't the spotlight type, from what I gather, more the steady hand behind the scenes. Before Michelle, Rob was married to Penny Marshall, the trailblazing director who gave us Big and A League of Their Own. Penny passed in 2018 from diabetes complications, and that was its own kind of loss for the industry. But Rob and Michelle, they seemed solid, the kind of couple that weathered Hollywood storms. Which makes this next part so damn hard to wrap my head around. Nick, their son, the one in the middle of all this. Back in 2016, he opened up to people about his life, and it was raw, no filters. He talked about how addiction clawed into him young, starting in his early teens. By 15, he was in and out of rehab, but it didn't stick. The pull was too strong, and soon he was out on the streets, homeless, bouncing between states, sleeping rough for nights that stretched into weeks. Imagine that, a kid from this iconic family, drifting like a ghost through cities, fighting demons no one signed up for. He described it all, the chaos, the isolation, how it ripped him from everything familiar. But Nick, he's a fighter. He channeled that hell into something real, co-writing Being Charlie, a semi-autobiographical film about a young guy battling addiction, trying to claw his way back to family. And in that 2016 interview, he sounded hopeful, like he'd turned a corner. Now I've been home for a really long time, he said, and I've sort of gotten acclimated back to being in LA and being around my family. It felt like a win, like the story was bending toward light. He was rebuilding, piecing together a life after the wreckage. So how do we get from there to here? From that glimmer of recovery to police lights flashing outside the family home? I don't have answers, and honestly, I don't think anyone does yet. Addiction's a beast. It doesn't play fair. It can twist people in ways that break your heart to even think about. Family dynamics in Hollywood, they're under a microscope, pressures that could crack anyone. But this? Losing Rob and Michelle like this, with their own son in the crosshairs? It's a tragedy layered on tragedy. It makes you ache for what could have been, for the what-ifs that no one gets to rewrite. Look, I grew up on Rob's movies. Stand By Me was the first film that made me ugly cry in a theater, that one about boys on the cusp of losing their innocence. It shaped how I see friendship, how fragile it all is. And now, hearing this, it circles back to that theme, doesn't it? The families we build, the ones we're born into, how they can hold us up or pull us under. My thoughts are with Nick's siblings, Tracy, and Wild Horses Couldn't Drag Me. I mean the other kids, whoever's left holding the pieces. And with Rob and Michelle's friends, the ones who love them beyond the credits. If you're into these kinds of stories, the true crime side of fame and the human cost, hit that subscribe and ring the bell.